So welcome everyone to the 241st weekly MLP Drawing School live critique stream. It's October 13th, getting slightly spooky. Get in there at least.
I'm pretty spooked.
Spooked?
Spooky.
I mean, they just changed the server icon on Sus Radio to the Halloween version, so it's official.
We're gonna work from the bottom of the list today. So starting at the bottom, we have Princess Fluffy's Eye.
Me? I'm at the bottom? Well, hello.
My brain just short-circuited there, and yeah, no, it's fine.
How did I manage to break you with that?
Because we started at the bottom.
Yeah.
Now
Simple as that.
Next up,
Now we have to top that.
we got we got a Pixie Nope who's just finished a rotation around the Earth again.
Hello, happy birthday to me.
Hell yeah.
Hello.
Yay.
Yeah.
Returning from a cocoon found inside of your wall, CPC.
I am still in the cocoon, but now it has internet.
I'm glad you got that upgrade.
You should have gotten internet earlier.
And we also have an Artemis, who I believe comes from somewhere on the internet, like an IP range of greater than 1.
Hi, contrary to what might seem, I'm not a carrot.
You aren't a carrot. And
You
then
could be.
this week's curator of the Pwn is Aliclaw.
Oh hi, it is me, the one with the caffeine. Hello.
I will take some, please.
I want caffeine. Can you find the cocoon in the wall?
I'll just start dripping it through the mic, okay? Get ready to catch it.
Oh god, that's gonna be ASMR. No.
Try not to get to Artemis' microphone, because she doesn't like coffee.
and of course, our ever fearless zombie who is quite dead today.
Oh, I'm
Still
sorry.
dead.
But still living.
Still living.
But dead.
Well, we'll get through this. There's only a little art this week. Yeah.
We got this.
If you hear snoring coming from the stream, it's me. I'm sorry.
Oh no. We've got
Love
to
you,
get to the art so
Tom.
you can go sleep.
I'll send you coffee and some cookies.
Oh, yeah.
We all need coffee, apparently.
Ooh, coffee and cookies.
All right.
I want
Oh, I'm
cookies.
fine.
I also want coffee cookies.
And coffee cake.
That is
Coffee
right,
chocolate.
Sarah.
Yeah.
CPC was on your computer.
Oh.
Let's get a packet of Revels and just get all the coffee ones out. Although some might be orange.
What are rebels?
You don't know what Revels are?
No.
I swear they must
They
just be a
destroyed
British
the
thing.
Death Star.
Nah!
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Revels with a V.
Apple.
They're like it's like a packet of chocolates, but it might be orange flavor, it might be coffee flavor, it might be just like a chocolate disc, it might be like a Malteser,
Orange. Chocolate orange.
or it might be like a little toffee one, or it might be like a little chocolate raisin. You don't know, except that many of them are distinct in shape.
Oh, they're just... Yeah, okay. That's called bridge mix here.
Oh, what? That's weird.
Yeah, because we're kind of boring in our naming.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I didn't look it up, so.
You know,
Do I have to wait for Christmas for chocolate oranges? It has nothing to do with Rebels. I just need to know.
No, you don't have
I
to.
got some white chocolate orange segments in there.
What? That exists?
I didn't know
Yeah,
it
we do,
existed, but
we
there's a
do.
packet of like white chocolate orange segments. Like Cadbury's.
Let me get this straight. You're buying stuff that you're going to eat and you don't know what's in there.
Yeah.
Have you
Well,
never
it's
gone...
like a mix of different things, so.
Yeah.
See,
No,
I
you don't do
yeah.
that.
No, no.
It's
Never
fun.
had trail mix?
It's fun and it's nice. Like it has different
CPC.
types of things.
Terry's chocolate orange is the best. Guys are good.
Yes, it is.
Which one? What?
Terry's chocolate orange.
orange.
Why are we just talking
Terry's?
about snacks? Like we have
Long
art to
live
do.
Terry! Long live Terry and their chocolate
Also-
orange. Forever may they reign.
Good morning, Zara. I believe I'm gonna do yours first.
Yeah,
since
we
you
are.
existing in the chat.
I believe
Use
they're.
your
As soon as you
The
start talking
human.
about chocolate oranges,
Yes.
which might not be soon.
No, we're doomed on a chocolatey conversation.
Listen, caffeine's a hell of a drug. It's just taken my mind.
Where
Well, I
is
have no
my mind?
caffeine. I'm waiting. I was gonna go buy coffee tomorrow, but now I'm in quarantine again, so I
Oh.
have to. I have to wait and maybe order it online or something.
Okay, we
I
can
just got a coffee
Delivery.
machine.
we can cover both
can-
areas with this. You're gonna buy chocolate covered espresso beans. That way you get your chocolate and you get your caffeine. Done.
I can
No!
buy coffee beans. I need to get pre-grounded because I don't want to buy a grinder.
Just
How dare
chew
you
it.
running chocolate like that?
What? No, they're so delicious.
Delicious.
I almost bought it today, chocolate-covered espresso beans, but instead I got tiny oatmeal cookies. I almost got them though. It was just close.
Are they the ginger snap ones?
No, they're just oatmeal raisin cookies, but they're
Okay.
so tiny. I'll put a picture in the
I need it compared to a pocket plushie.
I don't have one near me. They're on the other shelf.
What?
I'm sorry.
How dare you, Ellie? All right, let's do Zara's picture before we spend like a week here.
Good idea.
Okay.
That would be nice. It'd be like half of my. It sounds a very entertaining way of spending half of my quarantine.
Are you sure? Because you can't leave from here. Like you
That
you
is
get no
fine. I
chance.
can't leave from here. I'm
No.
in
You
You can
quarantine.
check out whenever you want.
Okay, so Zara, the pillar of forgot to write here. So here, oh my God, no words. Someone else gets to do that one. Going to sleep. Night.
Bye. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye!
Stream's
Send
over,
plushie.
guys. Thanks for
Zombie is
coming.
sleepy. Hug a plushie when you sleep. That's what I do. I'm hugging Pinkie Pie.
Okay, but yeah, it seems they went light in the shadows, yet I'm not visible. Here's would move forward in the uncanny journey. So found. Oh, she found the answer. It's like a story going on here. I think I got the proportions better this time around than I did with Mob Boss Sunset. Her left arm does not quite look right. Needed to look up more references for that. Face doesn't quite look right to me, or at least isn't the style I want. I need to practice faces more. Probably can use lineofaction.com for that. Question: what style are you going for? Because that's important. You said it's not quite the style you want. Do you have examples of said style? And are they currently like making a collage on a screen somewhere for you? What's that collaging website that you love, Allie?
It's called Myself. I just copy and paste things on
Oh no,
Canvas.
the thing that's really good for references. It's called
Puref.
There you
Oh,
go.
PureRef. Oh, that thing. That's good too, but I mostly fall on copying, pasting stuff into my canvas that is
Yeah,
blank.
that's right for the day. It's always Ali.
It is.
Yeah, I think I was the first one to do it in general that I know, but
We get one. We get allowance of one.
One.
When
That
I-
way
Now
we
we
can
can't anymore because Ali just used it.
I'm reckless like that.
So, this looks pretty good. It looks good. The one of the things is that the shoulders weren't quite sort of the same size, and since they're face on, they should be pretty similar kind of size. The other thing to keep in mind is how tall or drapey, I guess, the shoulders are. So when you have the neck, and then off the neck come the shoulders, and if the arm is kind of propped up a bit, as it's done here, the shoulder is going to be, you know, fairly up. If it is, you know, just sort of unsupported, just going down, not really like sort of actively held up, it's going to drape down. So it's good to keep that in mind to create a little bit of just flow in your pose, even if it's a fairly, you know, just standing uppy sort of pose. The reason why this arm originally looked pretty off is just because of the distances, or the proportions between them. So the upper arm, that long, the lower arm, that long. And it's not a super big difference, but raising the sort of elbow up here just makes these two, the upper arm and the lower arm, sort of the same size. So it pulls things back into proportion a bit. That's the kind of stuff that you're just gonna get a sense for when you just draw and do more life drawing sessions. So don't stress too much about, you know, double checking it and triple checking it and trying to be exactly exact. If you just do more poses, you know, trying to copy someone's pose in, you know, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that kind of thing, over time your head will eventually just be able to look at it and go, oh, okay, that drawing looks a bit off because of this. Someone is drawing a super duper cool face with the whole so good. With the pose as a whole. If I was to sort of push this a bit further in a concrete direction, what I'd probably do is I would probably think about the whole line of action through it, and I'd probably come to something along the lines of this, just in a really sort of simplified way. So you've already got this kind of motion going on, even if you're not aware of it, where sort of the chest is shaped and leaning in a little bit of sort of this direction already, and so it'd just be a case of something along the lines of, you know, pulling the hips a little bit that way, and that'd just sort of create a little bit of sort of cool motion to your pose. And then, you know, sort of the hips, something roughly along these lines, I guess.
Have you been doing a lot of human study there, Pixie?
I do life drawing sessions a fair bit, so sort of ingrained in me. But yeah, no, it definitely looks good. And do people want to talk about the face?
I moved the eyes down a bit. And I gave her more of a chicken sheen, and I think that was about it. Oh, and I tried to keep track where the middle of the face... Oh my god. Tablet, please cooperate. Where the middle of the face is, so I can then follow it for the headpiece here. Instead of it coming like this, the curve follows the middle of the face. That's it.
Any specific questions, Sarah? It's a good drawing.
Yeah, most of what I did with the face isn't so much like fixes, but you said you weren't quite happy with the style, and I was just doing something a bit different, more like the style I usually go for.
Whoa, awesome. In that case, I'm super duper excited to see more drawings of humans.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Feel free to share anytime.
Keep it up, buddy. We do definitely see notable improvement between your last week's and this week's. There's elements that are just showing stuff is starting to click. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we move on to our next one?
Mm-hmm.
All right. First one on the left.
First one left.
Bum bum. This is by one of these people. There we go. It is by Lemon Schmall. And throw doodle of my OC sour spritz.
Anthro.
What a fun name. No questions. So let's just get into it. I like the freckles. Freckles are fun. We got 2 ears. Liking that. A lot of people would just be like, yeah, this ear doesn't exist. But no, you left it. You get bonus points for that. 2 points to Gryffindor. Your wings are looking pretty good. They got some nice shape and a little bit of diversity, which is fun. The hip does confuse me. Does it confuse anyone else? Because it makes her look like she's turned her legs inwards.
Yeah, yeah.
And based on the angle of that, like, I want you to take your foot, place it, and then turn 90 degrees and try and place the other one so the toes face each other. Because that's basically what's happening here. If you imagine the hock is the back of the leg, you're basically getting that, give or take a few degrees. And that...
I mean, like, it's physically possible, but it's not really how you stand normally, so...
Yeah. Maybe it's more possible on, like, the hip of a horse, but even then, they tend not to... Like, their legs tend not to fold in like that. They usually fold outwards. Although they should have the ability to fold it in until it starts interacting with the end of the hip bone. I just don't know how large of a direction that would be. Now, given anthro, we sort of throw out standard anatomy out the window. I would still just reduce the amount of inward lagging here. What is this called? Is there a name for this?
Bow-leggedness.
Bow-leggedness?
Yeah, it's kind of you'll see it a lot in sort of anime styles.
Yeah.
It's like the
This
very
kind of-
shy girl, like, oh, I'm cute, shy, like, you know.
Kind of reminds me of, you know, a toddler where they face their legs in. But more. It's just been made a little... I don't know. Words.
Sentences.
Either shy and cute or bone disease.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. there's like a slider, and if you go too far, you end up in the other one.
Really?
It's
Go ahead.
yeah. I was just saying because you got the hock sort of thing, and if you look at a horse leg from the side, it's kind of like boom, hock sort of really sort of sticks out on that side view, and that's why it kind of like just looks weird having it come from the side.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like with these legs, we're sort of, it seems like we're viewing them from like 90-degree angle. So this leg is sort of the back leg from a horse facing this way, and this leg is like 180-degree flipped. So just de-emphasizing the hock, sort of, you know, not having it stick out like so obviously, just like pushing a little bit. It makes it so that they're, you know, they are turned in a little bit, but we're sort of seeing them more from, instead of, you know, the two hoops facing this way and this way, they're sort of more facing this way and this way.
Yeah. Yeah. You got it. He explained
Yeah,
it
I
better
also, I also pushed the hip shape a little bit, just because this is kind of a little bit more what you'd see on a person, and having a little bit of a bulge out the hem or whatever of the jumper, doing that.
I do really like the fact that you tried quite hard to get folds into the clothes. I think you might have just gone a little too far in the folds, because there's not that much detail put into the rest of it. Like you don't have splits in the hair, you don't have each individual feather put in. So I think you should try and seek after that same sort of only the important lines that are put into it. Whoever redid this one, they've sort of showed that where there's only a few distressed lines for the folds.
Yeah, hoodies tend to have a bit less because they're very big. They're like a t-shirt has very thin fabric would have a lot more folds than a hoodie, which has like thick fabric, so they'll be more visible, but there will be less of them because the fabric is quite thick.
Hmm. Yep. So, just like less but more well-defined folds is good. Just simplified, and it means your eye just focuses on what it needs to focus on.
There's also a few, I don't know where my layers are. A few folds that didn't super make sense. So when you're doing folds, you want to look for where the tension points, like, and on the this is not the pencil I wanted. On the elbow, there would be like fabric bunching up here, so it would make sense to have folds here, and up here where the fabric is bunching up. But here, there's not really anything to create these folds, unless it's just a super light fabric that's just doing whatever it wants to do.
Whoa, you okay?
Whoa.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
was that sneeze?
That was a sneeze.
Oh,
Ow.
it's a very explosive for a little mouse sneeze.
Fluffy, that is
Hmm?
so much junk food. Holy cow.
I went shopping today. I don't have an adult.
So
Oh, but
does-
those are mini chocolate oranges. I want a proper chocolate orange, just the whole thing, and then you have. I don't know what we did last time. I think we threw it on the table to open it up because
Then he threw it on the ground.
we did
Threw it
consider
on
that,
the
and then we were thinking, it's
ground.
like, oh, if it actually breaks, we don't want to be trying to get all this chocolate away from the dog.
That makes sense. Alright, shall we move on to our next one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep on throwing us stuff.
Yep, we got Spitfires. Picture up next. So, as I said, this is by Spitfire. Supermarine Spitfire. And it's Inktober 2020, Day 12, Slippery. I also used it as an opportunity to try out shading for the first time. Shading for the first time, it can be intimidating. You've definitely... Hatching is a great way to start it because it's helps you do sort of less shading than trying to like load on actual ink to shade that stuff. So it's a good call, especially for traditional, which this appears to be.
Yeah, I still don't do shading because shading is just.
I used to, and then I got scared of it, and I'm trying to work myself back into doing it, and I'm very bad with that.
Shading's like my favorite thing now because I'm having.
I want to get to that point. I envy you. I'm glad that you
Listen,
can be at that
I envy
stage.
you and your line art zen. So
Yeah, that's true. Like I used to absolutely despise line art, and I found ways to make it fun, and now I love line art, and that's what I want to get from shading. I just don't know how it can be fun.
To me, line art is just that thing I do, and my brain just
Yeah.
isn't doing it today, and it's. I just have to trace the thing I already drew.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can see where in the references that you have, I can see where, because they don't have a back leg in the references, but it's interesting because they do have a back leg on Inky but not on Twilight. So just drawing one in would be good. If you look at the reference as well, the leg positions are a little bit more exaggerated. So, for example, this leg, it just goes out more. And this one is in a pretty similar kind of position, but this one also just goes out a bit, which is important because this whole pose is about them being on ice and being a bit slippery and all that kind of thing. And so the more you can sort of create that feeling that they are slipping by pushing the legs out to either direction, the better. With the expression that they've got in the reference, you can also see that they've got this this specific point in the line really goes up super far, so it sort of pushes up almost to past the line of the muzzle, and then this whole thing is pretty short, and that just sort of let me push something behind there actually. And so it creates this whole kind of squished looking sort of expression-y sort of thing, which is interesting. Let's click on that layer. Yeah. But very good work. It's good. It's good practice, and it's good to just try different stuff out. Especially with this kind of backgroundy stuff, it's good. It's a good place to practice simplification.
And just really awesome, just pushing yourself to shade as well. It's hard and scary, but it's good to get out of your comfort zone. Art's a lot about getting out of your comfort zone sometimes, and yeah.
Something to keep in mind is just kind of making things look a bit different. So, for example, with these hooves, with the position changes, you'll have this one sort of, mostly facing us, this kind of one facing way off to the side, and this kind of one facing off to the side, and that just creates a bit of difference between all the legs. And if you look at these piles of soap, specifically at these shapes around here, you can really create some interesting looking shapes by having super big ones, super big small, super small ones, and just varying the sort of size and direction and all that sort of stuff of the different bits and pieces, and they can end up creating some really interesting looking shapes that is super cool to look at as well.
I know personally as an artist, I really have learned to favor asymmetry instead of symmetry. Symmetry of course has its place, but anytime I'm drawing any kind of organic object, I always try to go for an asymmetry look. And isn't there a rule of thumb? I was listening to a podcast where animators always talk about when they have to do background objects, they always group it in small, medium, large, small, medium, large. So it's you tend to yes, you can mix it up and maybe a large is next to a large, but paired with something else. but like just the idea is that you kind of have it in that asymmetrical grouping that can pop out, be noticeable, but not like it feels like it fits, but not like a pattern. And you don't have to exactly do it like in the order of small, medium, large. It can be like a group of 3 objects, and you have like, I don't know, balls sitting in a corner, and it could be like a big ball with a small ball and a medium ball, or like and it can just, I don't know, cans or boxes, and it's just kind of like a. It's more interesting to get that variety, especially with background objects, and even like with bush fluff. Get like a little bump, maybe a big bump, a little bigger bump. Playing around with that, and again, it's just like a rule of thumb, so it's not like a rule, but it's like a guideline to like try out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But your picture looks good. I'm excited to see you just continue experimenting and messing around and that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be too scared to just go off script from the references. So you've got your references there, and the reference, for example, this reference Twilight is pretty similar to sort of the how she looks in your reference. It could be interesting to say, look at the reference of Twilight in that kind of pose, and then draw a completely different pony on it. So, you know, draw Pinky or Derpy or whoever, whatever character makes you interested, just to sort of push yourself to be able to look at something and then reference it and also change it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a really useful skill.
All right, shall we move on to our next one?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
There's the next one?
Yep.
Oh, I found it.
Proud of you. All right. This one has been submitted by Exotic Eon. I hope I got better at shading lighting. What do you think? You know, let me check your old stuff. Yeah, it's been 23 days since we've seen anything from them. I would say...
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, notable improvement. The light's more consistent on this one. Yeah. The poor horse has lost a tail, though. Do they lose it inside the suit?
Yeah, it looks to me
Then
like a
on the
ninja suit.
Yep. They need to get a buzz cut on the head and a buzz cut on the tail. It's
Hmm.
just-
Wait, does that mean the dock gets cut off? The little nubbin?
Yeah.
that must be painful.
Listen, the
No.
things you do for stealth.
It would just be like tucked down.
But the little nubbin. Nope.
Yeah, that's basically all Zom has.
The shadows are not only more consistent, they also look more natural in the gradient. You may like it's more gradual.
Mm.
I would just be careful about your use of white light here. Even the moon doesn't have pure white, and especially when you're shading something that is black, using pure white on black and vice versa. The whole idea is to get some color in it. So like, if you want to get a certain feeling with or a certain mood with that moonlight, you could tint more towards blue or maybe like a dull yellow, since the moon is a reflection of the sun. So you play around with it. I would do some research. Look at other artists who do pictures in moonlight. There's so many. It's a great time for it. We're in Halloween, so everyone's doing those spooky nighttime pictures. So do some research, get some feedback, do some color picking on different images, kind of get an idea what kind of light, you know, works good on especially like black clothing. And another thing to think about with black clothing is it eats light. it's not very reflective unless it's like a shiny like latex. So you might not actually get as bright of a light to it. You might get some, but it wouldn't be as bright of a white like you have going on here.
So one thing that I had to say was the moon. I think you could stand to have a little bit of the reduced glare. Like one of the things that's really beautiful and transfixing about the moon is like seeing all the detail on it. You look up at the moon, the full moon even, and you can see the details on it. It's not just like a sun where it's like a glaring white ball. It's like it's reflected light, and we can see the details on it, and it usually has a pretty sharp, crisp outline to it, and that's what makes it pretty, I think, because it's so distinguished. So I think you could, while the moon is definitely a source of light, you could definitely still create this like ambient glow you've got around it, but just maybe like reduce some of the sort of inwards sort of bloom that you've got around it and make it look a little bit more crisp, maybe increase the size a little bit. And what you could do, I think, which would be good for composition, I mean, you don't have to, but I think this would be more appealing for the composition, is to, if you, especially if you did make the moon bigger, maybe tuck it behind them slightly, just to sort of add it as like part of the background and part of the composition. Although I'm not entirely sure that might not work because they've also got this like white gap around the face where the gap in the mask is, so the moon might clash with that. But it's certainly worth an experiment with. A lot of the time you want to push things together with backgrounds, and that's something I try to focus on a lot, is especially in pictures where you have like characters all sitting in their own little quadrant and items in the background are all sort of separate and everything's kind of blocked together. It doesn't really look very nice, and it's better to try and crush the composition together and just squash the characters on top of and around one another so that they feel a little bit more natural, and that goes for aspects of the background as well. So it might be worth experimenting with. Maybe have like the moon be super big so it's taking up a lot more space and can have some nice detail to it and really be a fixture in the background there. But it's up to you to experiment. If you want to keep it small, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah. So, I want to say, super good picture. I like it. Most of what I've done with kind of the shapes here is just refine them a bit. So, added a little bit of like a chamfer or whatever to the neck here, because where the neck meets the head, there's going to be a little bit of like a move like this, whether it's like a super short one like this, or whether it's like, you know, just a little bit of a hint of one like that. With this leg, this kind of a pose is super good. It's good to have it be pretty decisive. So for example, this is pretty short and it comes up pretty aggressively, and then it kind of just like, you know, either goes out or goes down a bit or does something like that. So I just push that shapes to be a little bit more aggressive, and also just toughed it out at where it sort of meets the body. Because if you look at horses and other animals and that kind of thing, this is sort of the place where the shoulder is, and so there's going to be some mass there. If you look at it kind of 3D, it'll be something along those lines, just, you know, a mass of stuff sitting there. With this sort of shape, the cool thing about this outfit is that you've got this kind of like shape. I presume this is a ninja sort of an outfit. Mm-hmm. And a good assumption to make is that this point here is kind of at the center of the neck. And so what I've done is kind of just pull the center towards us a little bit by having that be sort of in a similar kind of shape, but adjusting how these things fall, how this line and this line fall, just to be a little bit, I guess, shallower. Come down here. Because this shoulder is so visible to us. The other one would probably be somewhere like around about there, and so it'd be, it just helps sort of sell the direction that we're going in. This whole area is a really tough one to sort of get and understand and all that kind of thing. Basically, the belly is always going to be sort of the thing that you see the most, and it's going to be this kind of like a shape that just comes up and sort of shows itself, because you've got this whole shape stretching around the whole pony, and that's just the expression of it. So boom, goes up something like that, and then this thigh kind of shape here, it tucks underneath, and you end up with this kind of like a shape where the belly is here, the thigh is here, and they kind of both meet right at this point. But the thigh tucks underneath a little bit, so they both kind of have these sorts of moves. And if you can pull it off nicely, it's a really sort of convincing set of shapes underneath there. I think my first one was better, so just rewind the video like a minute or two.
I know that feel.
But yeah, but I think it looks good. I also pushed this back hoof this way a little bit, just because I think it kind of balances out this hoof a bit. I tend to really like it in poses when two of the hooves sort of come together, and so if you look at it from above, you've got sort of back hoof, front hoof, and then this one is just, somewhere, wherever, to balance things. But I like placing, these two hooves like really close to each other, just because it creates a really interesting shape as well, having this kind of like a let's choose a different color, like this in and then in. Creates some nice harmony, I think, or something, I guess. With what the other people were talking about before, color temperature is something really interesting to look at, and it's basically just how blue or how orangey a kind of a light is. And night can be, it can sort of lean either direction, but it's good to just like choose one and then be able to where is this? It's good to sort of, choose one, and then you'd be able to like tint your light in that kind of direction, just to make it a little bit more convincing that they are in a nighttime scene sort of thing. Like even just that kind of little bits and pieces of like blue added there sort of help sell that it's a nighty sort of a scene.
Less of like a bright white spotlight and more of an overarching glow of moonlight.
Yeah. And then in a similar kind of a sense, the shadows will usually be something complementary. So like if the sky is this bluey, is this more bluey kind of color, then the shadows will be like leaning towards a warmer kind of color and that kind of thing. So that's what I've done, just like a little bit here, a little bit here. Doing that kind of thing just adds a little bit of depth to your work a little bit. But it looks super good.
It does. It looks really good, and it's nice to see you pushing yourself. And I guess I'll just also throw out there, the traditional cool colors and warm colors are pretty easy to spot, but just also know that even yellows, oranges, reds, they can have cool versions of themselves. There's so much color. So play around with that. I highly recommend doing some research on this stuff if you can. There's great books out there about it. I don't know how deep you want to go into it. There's some Googling you could do. But yeah, there's so many, and any color can be a cool color or a warm color, but there's that traditional line that makes things easy. So if you just want to stick to easy complementary stuff, just go with the, you know, what you think of when you look at like a color wheel. You kind of can cut a line through it and see the like purples to like the bluish greens are cool, and then the warms or the pinks to the green. So, you know, have fun with it and don't feel like anything's off limits. Just get an idea for it. See
Mm.
how it all works.
Yeah.
It's like you can, you know, as Ali said, you can get any color and push it cooler or warmer and get it to a point where you want it. So I've just done it like a little bit here, and these are probably off, but it's a bit of an idea. Like yellow, you've got it more pushing towards green and more pushing towards orangey sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look on YouTube, there's a lot of interesting things about color temperature, and
Yeah.
if you need any links like that, yell at me on Discord, because I've posted them in a couple of previous videos and I can dig up those links without a drummer.
Throw them into our tutorial channel that we
Yeah.
have. If people want, you can Google for tutorials. People try to tag them, and there's a bunch of good resources. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any other art they'd like critiqued? Any other questions they'd like to ask? I see that Spellbound Canvas, you're here. We looked at your picture and we really didn't have any critique from it or on it that you haven't already heard from us before. Is there anything in particular on that picture that you'd like to ask about?
It's a good picture.
Because we've seen pictures that are much further along than that one. This one is horse floating in white void. No shading, no nothing. We've seen shading from you. We've seen backgrounds. We've seen multiple characters together. Is there something about this picture in particular that was bothering you?
I remember reading about how they weren't a fan of the pose and such, and all I'll really say to that is, unless you have a specific question about the pose, sometimes art just doesn't work out the way we want it to.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, like, I have bad pictures all the time. Like, it's the whole only really 10% you actually see versus the 99%.
Yes.
I know it doesn't add up, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. And the
Let me-
99% of work you don't see. Sometimes if you're frustrated with a picture, it's just that it didn't turn out well, and sometimes it can be reapproached by getting different references, trying different sketches out, and just kind of brainstorming about it. Because, like Zom said, a lot of the critique I think we've given to you in the past kind of holds the same here. But if it's like a specific pose or figuring something out, or you had issues, I looked at the picture, and honestly, it doesn't. It fits right in. And the other thing is, it's not necessarily bad that it sticks out, in my opinion, of course, because it's a collaboration piece where you kind of are all sticking pictures on the canvas. So it's okay. It's not going to blend in because it was not worked on together. It was just separate pieces plugged in together. So don't feel like that's a bad thing. It's just how that collab went.
Yeah, it's matching styles with other people when you're doing sort of collaborations. It's a tough thing to do, but I think
Yeah, I
kinda
especially
just
think like this collaboration wasn't meant to have matching styles. It was just everyone doing their own thing and mushing it together for the 10-year anniversary.
heck yeah, and that kind of skill, those kind of skills and all that, they'll just improve as you sort of mess around, as you make pictures, and then you learn, you know, what works and all that sort of stuff. So don't stress too much. Just keep on drawing and keep on sharing stuff with us and all that
Hell
kind
yeah.
of stuff. Yeah. If you want to share more sketchy stuff as well, that'd be good, because that lets us sort of see into your mind and see your thought process and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
See into your brain. Your tasty, tasty brain. Non-MLP worksheet, but why am I always getting old ladies? You know, that they have more experience.
I mean, it's fair. Yeah. Look at it this way: it gets you to practice different body types. Because honestly, everything is like ballerina skinny stick on most figure drawing websites. So it's okay to get other stuff.
Yeah, if your thing is why am I getting reference pictures of old ladies? That's just because different body types and all that are cool. But if you're wondering, hey, I'm trying to draw a younger looking person and they're turning out way older, what the hell's going on? Usually, it is just a thing of how many lines. If you draw a line, and you need 6,000 different lines to sort of represent the whole expression, they are going to look super old no matter what. Just because more lines equals more wrinkles equals older looking sort of person. The way to sort of fix that is honestly just to draw more. And I know that that's just a really crap advice, but it is a lot of the time just to sort of do some more life drawing exercises and to just push yourself to, and also to do shorter ones, say 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and then to push yourself to try to capture a pose, capture an expression, capture a face in that kind of time frame. Because as you do that more, it will it'll basically just come to you how to draw things by focusing on the most important lines, and then you'll be able to get down to a point where you draw 3 or 4 lines and you've got the whole face there, you've got the whole everything there, and then things will start looking a little bit more how you want them to, I think.
Yeah. So Spellbound sent a different picture. I just threw it on there. I don't know if we want to do just a quick talk about it. Oh yeah, I threw the on top because I wasn't sure whose layers were drawing there, so I just threw it to the top. If anyone wants to draw on it, just like make another layer on top or something.
I think one thing that seems to be sticking out to me is the fact that AJ is sort of staring into nothing. So her muzzle's tilted down, which is odd, but then her eyes are focused on absolutely nothing. She's got Apple Bloom becoming a pumpkin in the back, and she's got the focus of her food right here, but she's not actually looking at anything. So I'd take her muzzle, tilt it upwards a bit more to match what normal horse is, because they should be like 90 degrees off the head, give or take a bit. Maybe she's just really enjoying munching on pumpkin. That's true. She could. Occasionally I have just sort of gone wall-eyed and stared off into nothing while eating food. But, I mean, it doesn't really make the picture because her expression doesn't match that. Her expression is satisfied, but not overjoyed. Her body's not saying, holy crap, this is so good.
First off, Spellbound, this is a good picture. I like it because you've got lots of different elements here, and you sort of, you've got a full background, you've got all the ponies and all sort of stuff, and you're pushing things, and it's really super good. Clouds are always pretty difficult to get, especially if you're trying to get like something approaching or more towards show style-y sort of stuff. I just got a... When I was trying to do it, I just got like a bunch of different references of clouds from the show, and I've sort of ended up with this kind of like flat bottom, going up into these sorts of like curly sort of shapes. And something like roughly sort of along these lines. And that can be something to, you know, mess around with if you want to jump into clouds or anything like that a little bit more.
Mhm.
And
And
that's
Oh,
just,
sorry.
no, I was just going to say, and that's just like true of all the different backgroundy stuff. You'll just like learn it by, hey, let's sit down for a day and try drawing clouds in the MLP style or trees in the MLP style or whatever like that. You'll just pick it up. No dramas.
I was actually just gonna say, you might even want to remove the sun from this picture, because usually when you look at sunsets, when the sky turns that vivid of a color, it's actually way more closer to disappearing than it is to being in the middle of the sky. So for the sun, I'd either just have it peeking over the trees or just rid of it completely, because like a sunset or a sunrise usually is really close to the earth from where you're standing.
Yes. Like I was just posting pictures of like yellow moons and stuff in the chat from one of the previous critiques, and like that happens from like the moon being low in the atmosphere, and the same thing happens with the sun, where it's like orange in the morning, and you can like look at it, or in the evening, obviously, because it's like there's so much more atmosphere between you and the sun, just because of the angle at the Earth that it's at. That, you know, that's why it changes the color and why it's like so much more blurred and visible, because it's not as much pure light hitting you because it's going through all the air of the sky. Yeah, so if it's the higher up it gets, the brighter and more visible it gets. So you've got like the sort of wavy aspect to it. All of these sort of features, I think, would place it like lower down. So yeah, I agree with Ali.
So I've noticed you've dropped a lot of highlighting on AJ, which is good. The stuff on our tail might have gone a bit overzealous on where it is, considering the light source is top left-hand corner of us. So I just reduced that, but the highlighting that is on the top of her mane looks very good. Are you planning on continuing that through the rest of the picture? Like, for instance, adding a little shine spot on the pumpkins, especially one to the top of her hat and Apple Bloom's hat. Getting Apple Bloom a little more highlighting going on here. Things like that. Because you've started the highlighting, we might as well just keep plowing through on this one to finish it. And I know you said the picture's 80% done or something like that. Just... Alright. Alright, then I got nothing more on this one. This is more what we were hoping you'd be submitting these days to our subreddit. Either this or work in progress to get to something like this. Because this is more indicative of your current good work. The Vinyl Scratch is still a very good picture. It's just not as explored as something like this. You aren't pushing yourself.
Like, it's still awesome in its own right, totally. Don't get me wrong, and it's really awesome that you were doing a collab with so many people. I love seeing collabs, even if they're just group ones that don't mean to mesh together or anything, just like a bunch of artists working together. I love to see it. So awesome for doing that.
Alright, anyone else have any other questions they'd like to ask? Any other art they'd like to submit? Here you can also ask Fluffy's Eye what the European version of type of candy is in the rest of the world. Alright, well, it looks like no one else has anything for us, so we'll be calling it a day. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you again next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
See ya.